One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet who millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
Hey everybody, welcome to a Friday afternoon edition. Two shows today, of course. So right now we've got the first show, which is going to be the press conference with President Trump and Elon Musk. Some people are calling it his exit. I don't believe it's an exit. I think it's just a strategic move that they have to do to move him out of the position he's in now because it has expired. I personally believe that this is something that they have planned for the entire time. They knew this was coming, and this is how they were going to do it. The reason I'm looking down at my phone here is because, as you guys know, SV and Ashley always seem to send me information that I need to know that is breaking news, but I probably already have this one, but I will make sure to gotta check and make sure I've got it. They both have sent me stuff. Let's see here. What's he got? All right. Yes, I'll get to that. So the theme of today's show, overall, the theme of today's show is it's a really good day in MAGA-land. It just keeps getting better and better and better. And then the lost dogs, who they are, that group of people who call themselves Democrats and libnuts, they're pretty much, they got nothing. They got nothing. So I'm going to go over a couple of the big things that have happened recently that you guys may want to take note of. Let me go ahead and start first with what President Trump said. This is very, very, very important. Because I kind of posted about this today. Here it is. 2 weeks ago, China was in grave economic danger. The very high tariffs I set made it virtually impossible for China to trade into the United States marketplace, which is by far number one in the world. We went, in effect, cold turkey with China, and it was devastating for them. Many factories closed, and there was, to put it mildly, civil unrest. I saw what was happening and didn't like it. Not for them, not for us. I made a deal, a fast deal, in big letters, with China. And because of this deal, everything quickly stabilized and China got back to business as usual. Everybody was happy. That's the good news. The bad news is that China, well, they're being bad China, perhaps not surprisingly to some, has totally violated its agreement with the United States. So much for being Mr. Nice Guy. So I think you know what's coming. I think you can understand he's about to spank them down, if not today, probably by Monday. And of course, immediately the stock market starts freaking out, because if we're not funding China and letting China get rich, then we're the bad people. So those of you who know, and those of you who are in a position to do something, I'm just having a talk amongst friends, like I'm in the barbershop, like I'll be in the barbershop tomorrow getting everything cut. And we're sitting here talking, hey, what do you think about China? Well, you know what? Buy the dip. Get ready. You see, it's going to dip probably today. Let me check and see where we are right now. People are always like, buy the dip. And as I look right now, well, let's see where we are with it. We are down 200. It's like clockwork. If China and other countries aren't getting our money, things start falling. Are you noticing that now lately? Because I assume many of you are beginning to pay attention. Even if you haven't been in the market, you're now starting to pay attention. If other people aren't getting the money from the United States or aren't able to sell to the United States, things start falling. Again, you should see what that means. That means, as President Trump said, and what you have to basically take into account that libnuts can't, is right here, which is by far the number one marketplace, the United States marketplaces, which is by far the number one in the world. I don't understand. For the life of me, I cannot understand why libnuts, Democrats, media, all in the same, do not understand the world revolves around us. Period, exclamation point. What we do dictates, not correlates, dictates what happens around the world. And this president is the first president I've seen in quite some time who understands he's got a big bat. And he's not afraid to use that big bat. And so much for being Mr. Nice Guy. That's freaking people out. So, of course, I knew it this morning. He posted it at 8 o'clock, and I posted on X. All right, you know what to do. And I'm telling you right now, as a friend, not as a financial assistant, I'm not giving you financial advice, but as a friend, some of you might know what to do. I would say be ready on Monday. I think it's going to drop a little bit today. I think it'll drop early again on Monday morning. And then he's going to probably announce what? Oh, I'm going to fix things with China. And boom, here it goes again. This roller coaster that we're on is predictable. It's like standing outside the amusement park and going, oh, it goes up there, it goes down there, it goes up there. Same thing. This isn't an unknown. As soon as he said that, you should have been going, okay, here we go, game on, let's do this. It's so predictable. If people just paid attention, they would realize it at this point. If you're not in the market, watch the market. I'm not saying you have to put any money in it, but as you begin to learn, we got 4 years, 4 years of this stuff, with him saying something, the market's reacting, him doing something, the market's reacting, and then you've seen enough now in the last 5 months to know I'm telling you the truth. All right, so that happened, right? Yeah, so that happened. And then SB sent me this one. This is pretty good. Tell you, he's having a good day. Just in, Trump Media and Technology Group finalizes, read it closely, for those of you who aren't understanding, those of you who are afraid, Trump Media finalizes $2.32 billion deal to buy Bitcoin. The parent company of Truth Social makes major move. Don't get involved in Bitcoin. It's a scam. Nah. Except for the guy that you voted for is going in hard. Pushing chips in hard. So you can watch from the sidelines, or you can get your education up and get your level of proficiency up to know what the hell you should be doing. Or not doing. Not going to tell you. Not a financial advisor. I'm just showing you what's out there. I'm just showing you the data. You can take it from, however you'd like to. Good luck. Speaking of financial data, if that wasn't good news enough right there, we got some more for you.
Personal income is up 0.8%. That is almost triple the expectations, and it underscores, we could talk about a lot of issues, but when you look at income for the first 4 months of the year, they're powerful numbers, Joe. Up 0.6 in January, up 0.7 in February, up 0.5% last month, up 0.8 this month. This is a great 4-month start to any year. Now, with the income shooting up, and by the way, 0.8 is the strongest income month-over-month jump since May of 21, when it was one.
Wait a minute. This dude's been in office for 4 or 5 months, and he's already got the highest income jump since 2021, 4 years ago, right after COVID. So we get out of the jabademic, and right after the jabademic, people start going to work again, and this is the strongest month since then. Yeah, I think he's doing the right thing.
0.9. The income numbers, really, for the first 4 months of the year, they're stellar. They're really stellar. I mean, I could go back and look at the first 4 months of many different years. Really very strong numbers, and you're right. This administration is criticized for just about everything under the sun. I've never, ever in my lifetime had glimpses into the politics of an administration in the form of transparency like this one. Why don't we give credit where credit is due?
Why don't we give credit where credit is due? Most people who have brains can do that. The Democrats and the left and the media all one and the same. They can't. Now, this guy works at CNBC in the economics department. They focus on money. He's like, I've never seen this. And I especially have never seen this kind of transparency. When's the last time you've seen a president who will tell you what he's about to do to China? I'm about to spank him again. No more Mr. Nice Guy. Yeah. They effed around. They're about to find out yet again. They begged for mercy once. What happened? Okay, stock market. He hit him with the tariff. Bam! It went down. He played nice and gave him a break. It went up. And now he told you, I'm going to spank you. No more Mr. Nice Guy. It's going to go down. Then they're going to cut a deal, probably Tuesday, Wednesday, and it's going to go back up again. That's transparency. It must be driving Wall Street bananas. Just imagine that. For decades, you never were able to look on the outside and go, I know it's getting ready to happen. This president is pulled the curtains back on everything and is showing you, hey, watch what I do here. Ooh, I'm moving some levers. Bing, ba-ding, bada-bing, bada-boom. So you can see it. And this guy on CNBC, I've never seen nothing like this. Get used to it. More to come.
Income really shooting up. The last number is, of course, a very important number to this administration. This is the trade balance, which is a deficit, expecting minus $143 billion. Wow, it comes in much, much smaller, minus $87 billion. And now this follows a 163 that gets converted to $162 billion with a minus sign, the worst since record-keeping 1989. Then we cut it in half to 87.6. 87.6 would be the lightest, and I have to really go back. 87.6 would be the lightest since... wow, September of 23, SEP of 23. And this really does underscore how the movement of goods and services has really changed due to a variety of tariff-related issues.
No, but tariffs don't work. Tariffs are horrible for the economy. You're 5 months in. Actually, 4. 4 months in. You're 4 months in, and these people on Wall Street are losing it. Nobody has ever seen anything like this. When he said, I'm going to make America wealthy again, he wasn't kidding. And there's too many people who sit on the sidelines trying to complain about it, or saying they're afraid of it, or they don't know anything about it. Whatever the excuse du jour may be, it needs to be eradicated. 4 months in, and I think already he has proven himself to be, and the people around him, Scott Bessent, Howard Lutnick, tariffs. Oh, we're going to make so much money. He's not kidding. I can't profess to you enough, but hopefully I'm showing you things and going, hey man, we're 4 months in and people are saying this is record stuff. This hasn't been something where he's been in office for a long, long time. Breathe. Take it all in. But begin educating yourself. That's why I did the real estate stuff. People didn't like me talking about it. The other day I started talking about it. I don't want to talk about it. I'm sorry. I'm excited. I'm happy. I'm exuberant. I love it when I look. Oh, yeah. Wow. Look at this, honey. You know what it's like to tell your wife? Look at this. I'm 1 day away, or 2 days away from the month of Robin. And she's already, what's coming? I'm like, honey, all kinds of things are coming. Why? Because President Trump is doing what he's supposed to be doing. But it doesn't stop there.
Now from the U.S. Supreme Court, the president has notched a win a moment ago. The U.S. Supreme Court has allowed the Trump administration to revoke the temporary legal status for hundreds of thousands of immigrants. Now, they come from 4 countries: Venezuela, Cuba, Haiti, and Nicaragua. They came into the country through an app that was established during the Biden presidency years. And for the moment, it appears that the Trump team, they've made it their objective to deport those who came in illegally. This would be a win for the administration, handed down by the U.S. Supreme Court just a few minutes ago. So that's the latest. Watching that from Washington, D.C. All right.
It's only 1:15 on a Friday. The Supreme Court, by the way, that judgment that came in was 7-2, with the 2 people who dissented being not Sotomayor or Kagan. They both said yes. It was Ketanji and maybe it was Sotomayor. I forget who. Yes, Sotomayor. Sorry. Those are the 2 who said, no, we can't do this to people. So, of course, right away, on cue, now that President Trump can expedite, get them all out. Get them out. The sad sacks from MSNBC and, the networks start. Oh, my goodness. This is horrible.
This is now allowing the Trump administration to revoke protected status for 500,000 immigrants from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela while the appeals process plays out. Gary, fill us in.
Yeah, it was a 7-2 decision. That means that all the conservative justices and Justice Elena Kagan voted together on this case to allow President Trump to end these protections for more than 500,000 individuals from Cuba, from Haiti, from Nicaragua, and from Venezuela. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson and Justice Sonia Sotomayor dissented in this opinion. They said, quote, it undervalues the devastating consequences of allowing the government to precipitously upend the lives and livelihoods of nearly 500,000.
You notice how they just pivot to talking about the 2 dissenters. The 2 dissenters said, I don't give a crap what the 2 dissenters said. It was 7-2. Notice they focus on negative all the time. It's always the negative slant. 7 of the 9 said, yeah, throw them out. These 2 said, please don't do that. You can't do that. It's un-American. But no, that's who they focus on at MSNBC.
Non-citizens, while their legal claims are pending. Now, this all become Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem had been seeking to end this Biden-era program that allowed these individuals from those 4 countries to live and to work in the U.S. for up to 2 years. And now it was that 2-year deadline that the Trump administration was unhappy with and was trying to move up and to get these folks out of the country. Now, in terms of what is going to happen next, these individuals are going to have to find another reason to be in this country, another legal reason to be in this country. That could come via a student visa. That could come via a different type of work visa. But it has to not be through this program, at least while appeals are underway. Now, this could, of course, change.
Find another way. You're telling me after you've been here all this time, and you've been seeing that President Trump got elected, and now all of a sudden, mysteriously, you're going to find another way to allow you to still be here, magically. Good luck with that.
Because the appeals court could reverse what the Supreme Court has said here, and then it could go back to the Supreme Court. But this all started where a Massachusetts U.S. district judge said the administration could not just sweep this away entirely without these individualized determinations. Now, the Trump administration argued you can't individually determine with 500,000 people in any sort of specific amount of time. It needs to be done faster. It needs to be done as a block. That's something the Supreme Court said, actually, you can.
All right, so
undocumented.
If you have breakfast in front of you or lunch or something to drink, make sure you're not watching it during this piece. So CNN, they're all upset about, the people getting told they have to leave. And this poor woman from CNN, she decided she drew the short straw, one or the other, that she had to interview Stephen Miller. And I'm telling you, I don't know if there's a stronger advocate for this president than Stephen Miller. And what he does to her right here, she should have just got up from her desk, walked to the front door and said, I'm done. I am done working for CNN. Honey, you just had your things clipped. Well, you don't have them anyway, but you would have had them clipped. You guys got to see this. You got to see this, and just try not to laugh as he just. It's beautiful. It's classic Stephen Miller.
Sent a letter threatening to kill the president, promising to self-deport after the assassination. CNN reporting shows that investigators believe the migrant was set up. It was a victim of a setup. What is the administration going to do now? And this is an undocumented immigrant. I do want to note that, but this was someone who came forward, was a victim of a crime, and now law enforcement believes he was set up. Go ahead.
Well, I want to clarify what you mean, so we're talking about the same thing. Are you saying this immigrant was here illegally?
Yes, but I am, and that's why I said that. I clarified that.
You said undocumented, and I wasn't clear what that means. I'm assuming they have a fake.
Oh, what the hell does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. It's a word they all made up. I'm sorry, I don't even know what you're talking about. You mean? I love it, Steven.
ID. I'm assuming they have a fixed social security number.
That's neither here nor there. That's getting away from the question, Steven. I want this to be, and call me naive, a good faith discussion about what's happening right now.
But when we use language that's designed to obscure the truth, that's not good faith.
An illegal
alien is an illegal alien. They're not an undocumented migrant.
Okay, that's fine. That's another discussion for another day.
I don't know the details of the assassination threat. All I can say, based on what you're telling me, is there's an illegal alien in our country who's making menacing threats. Regardless of the facts or circumstances, we don't want him here. We're going to get to the bottom of it, and I would gladly come back on when I have more information to share with you.
They were set up, just to be clear. But quickly, where is the White House on habeas corpus?
Was treated unfairly. Yes, I'm sure the illegal alien was treated very unfairly.
Where is the last few weeks? Yet, even just yesterday we saw, whenever a judge rules against this administration, you say they're going rogue. Do you think a judge should just rubber stamp what your White House does? If not, what checks and balances do you think should be in place for this White House? It
is not the job of a district court judge to perform an individual green light or red light on every single policy that the president takes as the head of the executive branch. Just think about the premise baked into your question, respectfully, Pam. You're saying that when the American people elect a president of the United States of America,
I'm not saying
well, it's the implication, who is the sole head of the executive branch. Well, let me finish. I will answer the question happily. But look, when you have these kinds of lazy assumptions built into questions, it makes it hard to have a constructive dialogue.
What is a lazy assumption? I said you all had to win.
You said, is it my expectation?
I'm speaking because now you're putting...
You said, is it my expectation? It's not just you. It's the whole media. In other words,
I know you want to loop this on. It is a completely fair question. You say judges who rule against the White House.
And I will gladly answer it. When you say, do we think district court judges should rubber stamp each action? There is a premise that is built into that is absurd. The president is the sole head of the executive branch. He's the only officer in the entire government that's elected by the entire American people. Democracy cannot function. In fact, democracy does not exist at all if each action the president takes, foreign policy, diplomatic, military, national security, has to be individually approved by 700 district court judges. That's democracy. So if there's 15 communist crazy judges on the court, that each of them, as a team working together, can block and freeze each and every executive action? Joe Biden was allowed by that same court system
Some of them
to
are
import
Trump
20
judges,
million
though.
illegal foreigners.
Why did Trump
into
put
this
these
country.
crazy communist judges, as you call them, on the bench?
You heard President Trump himself say that the Federal Society and Leonard Leo has created a broken system for judicial vetting. And God knows
He
this
did
time
say that.
around, we
So
are
does
not
that mean
going
he
to be
doesn't
using.
support
We are
picking
not
Amy
going to
Coney
be
Barrett
using.
for the Supreme Court?
What it means is simply this and nothing more. We're not going to be using the Federal Society to make judicial nominations at all going forward. But
I just want to say, we can tell the Elon's.
Oh boy, oh boy. Ah, she got slayed. Absolutely slayed. What's this undocumented immigrant? I don't even know of this what you are speaking of. Crazy. So I'm waiting for President Trump to come on. I've got the different monitors working. Here's what I'm going to do. It's 1:25. We can come back to MSNBC in a second. So while I'm waiting, it gives me a chance in case I have to move to a different monitor because we got a whole bunch of stuff coming today. By the way, let me bring this up to you so you guys know as well. We've got this interview coming up with President Trump and Elon Musk, and then shortly thereafter, we're going to have the rally from Pittsburgh. I'll be going live at 4:30. It seems like President Trump's going to be speaking at 5. After today's press conference, if we have time, I also have an interview with Tennessee Representative Ogles. He's all lined up as well. So we got a whole bunch of stuff to do. Right now, let me tell you about gold. Because as you see in the market going crazy, this is something that you can begin making your hedge. It's your safety blanket. It's what you need to have, in your hand. Down here in Florida, this is now going to be legal tender. I can go into a store and give them gold or silver, depending on what I'm looking to pay for. So the gold market is going to open up tremendously. So much going on. It's not the same kind of speculative investment that you're hoping to get rich. It is a hedge. It is protection. Gold will never be worth zero. Silver will never be worth zero. So understand the difference and how the diversification in your portfolio should work. That being said, let's listen to my friends it's me, from Lear Capital. We're in a very volatile time right now. There's plenty of financial uncertainty. Now is not the time to be speculative. And I'm also speaking from a personal perspective. I'm buying income-producing real estate, and I'm buying gold and silver. A lot of people don't know the difference between the economy and the stock market. And too many people listen to the news and social media. That'll get you in trouble. Let's face it. It's obvious that a lot of people have an agenda they're not telling you about. Right now, your best bet is stability, and that means you might need to build a hedge against global volatility. May I recommend gold and silver to you? Real gold and real silver, not paper, not certificates, actual gold and silver. What gold and silver can give you is absolute peace of mind. A stock is only as good as the company behind it. It's merely a piece of paper. One of the things I can tell you is that many people are finding out the hard way that some of their investments were built on quicksand. Gold will never be worth zero. Silver will never be worth zero. If you want to calm some of your fears, give my friends at Lear Capital a call today at 800-601-5430 or go to learberry.com. Just so you know, Lear Capital has over 27 years of experience, thousands of 5-star reviews, and over $5 billion in trusted transactions. And Lear is the only gold company with a 24-hour risk-free purchase guarantee. You don't pay unless you're 100% satisfied. So go to learberry.com. If you want peace of mind, give my friends at Lear Capital a call at 800-601-5430. Or look down here below and go to learberry.com. And don't forget to ask about getting up to $15,000 in free gold or silver with a qualifying purchase. Don't wait. Do it now. Nobody knows what tomorrow holds. Be safe. All right, so it is now 1:30. President Trump has not come out as of yet. We're checking all my different monitors. So before I get into anything else, let's just go ahead and take some comments as we're waiting. Hold on, I'm just checking on. I even have another feed going here on my phone. So let me put this up here so we can see if in case something happens. 1 second. Volume is set. Okay, so everything is set when he goes live. We'll be ready. All right, so let's see here. Mr. Miller was a student at Duke during the Duke lacrosse BS on Fox, and he called out things back then as he does now. Yes, he was. Hello, Neil. How you doing this morning or this afternoon? Let's see here. What we got else here? Love your energy, Barry. Keep up the good work. You're a good person, even when you get pissed. Thank you. We're just still waiting for President Trump to come out. Nothing as of yet. And not sure when he comes out. You know, he always says 1:30, but then who knows what time he comes in. The Federal Reserve will be brought down so that the paper money they issued over the past 112 years that has lost much value since the federal note was created with the seeing eye inside a pyramid. That's been crazy. Stevens Miller took that hag out to the woodshed big time. Well, let's not talk about that right now. I'm not really talking about that right now. I'm not really sure. Let's see here. If the volume of gold is doubled, it will balance out, right? Everyone over there in Antarctica. If we see some, I don't know how that would happen. Trump should have a rally once a month. I agree. I think he does so well when he does those rallies. People absolutely love it. Sound is echoing. It's fine on my end. Anybody else hearing an echo? I'm not hearing an echo. Let's see here. Democrat news is literally just plain un-American. In fact, it's treasonous. Yep, exactly. All right, so I'm not sure when he's coming out. I don't hear an echo. If anybody else hears an echo, please let me know, but I don't hear such an echo. So I'm going to proceed, and when he comes on, we'll come on, but I've got some video here from MSNBC. Okay, SV just told me no echo. Sometimes people, when you post in the chat, you have to understand it might be your end, not our end. We're trying not to, but if you do say something and we see it, we'll check it out real quick. All right, so I'm gonna, instead of me just trying to burn time, let's continue with these videos, and when President Trump comes on, we will cut to him immediately. Let me just make sure I've got it ready to go. Let's continue with the videos.
Story and this kind of disciplining by democracy as a story of someone leaving. But there is pain in the wake of these tariffs, and there's pain in the wake of what Elon did. He talked about bringing the wood chipper to USAID. Brooke Nichols, Boston University professor, mathematician, figured out what is the effect of this. They have a tracker. 300,000 deaths. According to a Boston University professor, because of the aid cuts so far, 200,000 of them children. Okay.
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, I got this thing on my phone here from some professor in Boston. Yeah, you know, one of these lib nuts, and she says 300,000 people have died because Elon Musk has cut aid. How do I say this in the most empathetic way possible? If you can show me that 300,000 people in America perished, then I'm probably going to stand up and take notice. But you kind of left out that asterisk. Because if you're talking about children in other countries in the world, yes, I feel horrible. I feel horrible about that. But maybe you should be talking to their government. You know, go see why they weren't taking care of their own people. They are a sovereign country. Why aren't you talking to their president, their prime ministers? Why are you complaining that Elon Musk cut off the spigot of dollars from America, and because of the dollars from America not flowing, you're blaming that on us? You know, I pray for any children who are in distress, who don't have food, who don't get their medicine. I pray for them. But I first want to hear from their own government, because what you are reinforcing is something I've been thinking. There are no, well, not none, but some of these countries do not have governments. They're not countries. They are outposts of the CIA or whatever, and we're just funding it. You can't put 300,000 deaths on America? What are you, idiot? Crazy.
Vietnam War, y'all remember that? 60,000 U.S. service members died. This is 5 times more deaths, according to the Boston University study, because of aid cuts since January of this year. So Elon Musk is leaving, but he's also leaving a legacy. But I think it's really important that people remember the courts work. Joe and I have been having a 10-year conversation about our institutions standing up or not. The courts work still, not perfectly. There's problems, but courts work, lawsuits work, and pressure works, and people raising their voice works. And it's not just that Washington always wins. I think the people always win.
Elon Musk. There's 8 people sitting on that panel, 8 supposed journalists, 8 people who have the ability to fly over to whatever jungle they're talking about and sit there in that jungle and talk to the warlords and the soldiers and say, hey, take me to your leader. Who? Take me to whoever runs this country. I run this country. No, I mean the guy who's actually the president and premier, not you with the machete. No, it's my country. I'm the boss there. And that's our problem? That's what you're saying. It's our fault that their country, who has a flag, who is supposed to be a sovereign country, it's our fault that they can't manage their own people. See, that's different. I don't know if Sparky Head there could have realized, hey, listen, maybe I should go talk to their people and see if now they could come here and explain to the United States why it is that you can't take care of your people. Why did all these kids supposedly die? Were you not feeding them? What are you doing? Why are journalists not digging down in this? Why are these supposed countries not able to take care of their own people? Because for a good part of this country, America can't take care of its own people. There are people sleeping in the street all over the country. And I don't see these people on MSNBC or CNN going, oh man, we really got to do something. 80 kids got shot in Detroit this weekend. And the homelessness in Los Angeles, they're all over the street. You know, should we do something? No. No. They don't talk about what's going on in America. They don't care about what happens in America. Including the liberal politicians who govern those areas. I haven't seen any of the people from Washington fly into Kensington and Pennsylvania where the zombies are all just hanging out like this, standing in the street. You don't see that. You don't see them flying in and go, hey, we need to do something about this. You don't even see them talking to the Democrat governor, Shapiro. Hey, man, what are you doing with Kensington? All the people are hanging out looking like this. They're all messed up. There's garbage everywhere. And they're all looking like zombies. Think I'm lying? Look up Kensington, Pennsylvania on YouTube. And be prepared to be shocked at what you're going to see. But no, they want you going halfway around the world to go see what's going on with them. And we're bad because we're not caring about them. So what does that say about you not caring about Americans?
Exit. He is leaving Washington. But I think that Elon Musk is just finished. I have not heard a lot of Democratic elected officials talk about the data. Elon Musk and his Doge peeps, if you will, they installed servers within the White House complex. They were integral within the Office of Presidential Personnel, which has tentacles out into every single agency. They have inroads into every single agency now. Doge was in there.
And he didn't take those servers with him.
The servers, I don't think, have left the White House. And so what are Democrats going to do about the data? Are you all going to follow up on this? What's your take on Elon Musk's being done? because
So with everything going on in politics, everything going on with the country, this is what they're worried about. And they wonder why nobody listens to them anymore. They wonder why their audience is down 41%. The news I just said to you thus far already today, they could be reporting on. Oh, the economy's doing great. Yeah, inflation is down. Best in like 20 years. This is happening. Oh, not a word. Not a peep. What about the newcomers? The you know the funny word, undocumented immigrants and the data. Nobody cares. You guys are losers. You're talking about things that matter not to people. The same data that he accessed, somebody and some people in the government have been accessing for quite some time. We don't even know who they are. At least we're transparent and no Doge has been looking through things. Tell me who else has been there before Doge got there. Who was going through all that information that you're so worried about prior to Doge?
he's finished. He's just finished what he was doing. Actually, he's finished. He's not done because they've still got the data.
Yeah, I heard he's on some image repair tour. I think the best way for him to repair his image is to reverse all the damage he did to our government, to the American people. And yeah, those servers are a big issue. We want to continue to investigate that. And certainly, I think some crimes may have been committed over the past 3 or 4 months, and they are going to come to light. One way or another, we're going to come to light, even if it takes us getting into power again. But we
that's what I was waiting for. They're going to come to light one way or the other, even if we have to manufacture them once we get back in power, which is why we can never let these people get back in power. They're already foretelling what they're going to do should they get the opportunity to have the power to put people in jail. They're not even thinking, how can we fix the country? What can we do? How do we compete with people? How do we make people happy? How do we make people healthy and wealthy? No, we just got to figure out how to get these people in jail. These are sick minds. These people are absolutely sickos. You're sitting there, you just got your butts waxed in November, and you're watching the news. I mean, they're seeing it. They just won't report it. So you're seeing all this happen, and you're telling me your focus for 2026 and 2028 is we just got to get in so we can arrest everybody. And guess what? They will. I don't mean get in. They will, if they get in, arrest everybody. They're not going to take 5 or 6 months like some other people we know. They're not going to, we'll get back to you in a couple of weeks. No, they're going to come out the gate with arrest warrants. They're going to throw us all in jail. They're going to turn off YouTube channels. They're going to everything. Elon Musk is probably target number one before Trump. They got to shut down X. They can't have us talking. And then, of course, blip, we're done. And so many others are done. And that's all they can think of. Okay, looks like, no, that's a repeat. That's not President Trump. Hold on, let me just see something. Yeah, that's a repeat. So they almost had me on that one. Because I'm looking at one of the feeds and they're showing President Trump, but I happen to see Janine Pirro behind him. And I'm like, nope, that was her swearing in ceremony. So we're still waiting. But in any event, they're telling you, they want to put you in jail. When I say you, maybe not specifically you, but you know what I mean. They're going to come for everybody they possibly can, and there's no way they're going to wait 4 or 5 months. Nope, ain't going to happen. Not going to happen.
Subpoena people and find out.
It was just not the right way. The process was wrong. But they were 100% behind it, guys. What say you, Jesse?
You know, Jessica's laughing that he's gone, but it's like laughing at a funeral. The Democrats' funeral. Your party's dead, Jessica. And you basically pushed the world's wealthiest man into our arms. And
now he's running from you. He went on one date.
Wait, no, this is the day that he was supposed to leave.
Yeah, he's supposed to leave tomorrow, 180 days. How do I know that and you don't,
It's
Jessica?
130.
Listen, you now made Elon Musk the Republican Party's biggest donor. Thank you. Thank you very much. You think he's just going to stop giving?
He said I'm stopping giving.
Okay, I've heard that before. They're going to give. You think he's not giving to Vance? After what you did to him, do you think he's just going to bury the hatchet? After you called him a Nazi? After you bombed his cars, you think the next election he's going to be like, all right, you know what? Let the Democrats get back in there. Because what do you think the Democrats are going to do when they get back in? They're going to go all in and try to put the man in prison. They're going to try to bankrupt his companies and investigate the hell out of him. You think he's not going to give anymore? You are I'm not going to say the word idiot, but you've made a huge mistake and you don't realize how dumb it is. Also, you're saying how much you need men. Young men idolize Elon Musk. They want to be him. They want to be based. They want to ride around in his trucks, and they want to hang with big balls. And now every time you attack Elon Musk, you're attacking all of the young men that you need for your party to survive. You're attacking a living legend. We're talking Rockefeller, Ford, Jobs. Who's against him? Booker, he's a footnote. Liz Warren, what has she ever done? This man's expanding civilization. He's cut spending. He's actually found fraud.
Where?
You've never found it, Jessica.
And while he was doing that, he rescued astronauts that they then mocked while they praised Katy Perry.
Yeah,
No one praised Katy Perry, to be clear.
He's like, she didn't look great, that shot. He's juggling like heroic acts, and you guys are chirping at him for the silence. You had your chance. You didn't cut spending. You didn't find fraud. You made Kamala Harris the AI czar, Jessica. This is
that should have been enough right then and there. You made Kamala Harris the AI czar. They don't know how they're going to recover. And so all they can do, as you see with those leftist clips of MSNBC, Elon Musk, they're praying. No secret, they are praying that he's actually leaving. So here's what I'm thinking is going to happen. As everyone is waiting, I'm looking at monitor 1, monitor 2, monitor 3, and he has not come out yet, so we're at 147. Good thing I had some content to go over. But in any event, I don't think he's leaving. I think he's going to segue into another role that doesn't require any kind of congressional approval, that he's not subject to any sort of rules or anything like that. Something like a special advisor, where President Trump can just pick up the phone and talk to him whenever he needs to, or whenever he wants to come to Mar-a-Lago or the White House, he can do so. I think that's where everything is headed. I want you to understand, if there's anyone in the world who can work remotely, it's probably Elon Musk. I have no doubt that this guy could plug in from wherever he is and help. You don't think they put that system together? You don't think over the last 5 months that the people in Doge have not had a system together where Elon can go in and check things and do different things, or have somebody else report to him? Of course they do. Of course, they have all that just all set up. So he's not going anywhere. Nope, not going to happen. He's too pot committed at this point. Is he going to have to spend more time at Tesla and Starlink and sending robots and rockets out to Mars? Of course, that's his business. But he is going to be, and will continue to be, a right hand for Donald Trump. No doubt. No doubt whatsoever. He will be the hand of the king. Remember the Game of Thrones thing? Hand of the king? That's who he's going to be. Yeah, Democrats, they're taking a victory lap. They think they fired him or scared him off. Nope, Dark MAGA is way more lethal. Great point. Dark MAGA is way more lethal. I like that. Maybe that's what the communication he's been giving for quite some time. Now that I think about it, love your point there. He's Dark MAGA. Wow. SB, let's see here. Elon is light years ahead. Yep. They've already set up their system, whatever that system is going to be. Now, I'm very surprised. I will tell you, I'm very surprised that they're doing a press conference. Because why would you want the press? I guess maybe transparency. I'm thinking to myself, why would you want the press to know what your plans are and how you're going to integrate Elon Musk moving forward? But I'm sure that both Elon and President Trump can handle themselves. Let's see here. 2 months ago, Candace Owens also said Susie Weiler hated Elon and there was a rift in the friendship. I don't speak ill of most people, but Sorry. Let's see. Fist of the Emperor. Yeah, exactly. They had a huge bust in the food stamp fraud in the millions by a government official. Did you see the big bust they had up in Tallahassee, Florida, where they just walked into a construction site and just rounded people up? By the way, there's going to be a whole lot of jobs in construction. So if you got family members or friends that are looking for work, maybe it might now be the time that they learn to trade, because a lot of these people ain't going to be here. That's true. Elon will be very much remote from wherever he is operating from. Watch out, Democrat Party. Oh, yeah, for sure. I wasn't going to say it, but since you said it, I'll just have to just go along with you. I mean, again, not going to talk badly about anybody, but I can't put any credence into that stuff. It's just, it's out there. It's out there. Elon isn't going anywhere. He will be in the shadows. Now, I had put up a poll before we began, and the poll read, are you satisfied with what Elon Musk has done? We've gotten almost 4,500 votes, and 96% of you have said, yes, you're satisfied with what Elon Musk has done, which leads me to wonder, what do the 4% think that he didn't do? What exactly was it that you were hoping that he would do more of? Because, I mean, the guy has basically done everything. Everything. Congress didn't codify it. So I don't know. I'd love to know what you think more he should be doing. Dark MAGA, because dark is beautiful. Elon wears the black MAGA hat all the time. He does. He really does. They went off the deep end about Tallahassee. Yeah, they were all freaking out about that. SP's talking about Biden. I don't know if you've seen. I don't know why they're putting him out there. Biden did a speech today, and it doesn't help the Democrats at all. It just makes them go, "Oh my God, can you put this guy back in the rack someplace?" He's screaming at you all over again. I was gonna clip it, and I'm like, he's irrelevant. You know, and the less time we spend on irrelevance, the better. And there's so much of the media, so much of politics at this point was completely irrelevant. I mean, President Trump posted this. Let me move this comment so you can see it. President Trump posted this, and it's something that most people won't even be talking about. And it just makes what they say even more irrelevant. It's a picture of him, and it says, Breitbart News, core inflation falls to lowest rate in 4 years. This is what I've been trying to say for months now, and what I've been trying to say, in case you haven't played along or understood or been upset with me, is focusing on what matters. What matters? Core inflation, income levels, unemployment. All these things have to do with prosperity, investment. All of these things is what Donald Trump is focused on. Military, defense, Supreme Court. Not the stuff over here that everybody keeps trying to confuse you with, to try and deflect and distract. If you focus in on what he's focusing on, you're going to see a lot more happiness. I wake up nowadays and I look at some of the stuff he's doing, and I couldn't be more thrilled at this point to be an American. Let's see, he just posted something. All right, so he posted this. Let me see what this is. All right, so we got to look at this while we're waiting. He just posted this at 1:30, 25 minutes ago. Upon the request and recommendation of many people, I am hereby terminating the employment of Kim Sajat. What am I doing? Listen to? Oh, that's my phone. As director of the National Portrait Gallery, which whatever that may be. I've never even heard of the National Portrait Gallery. She's a highly partisan person and a strong supporter of DEI, which is totally inappropriate for her position. Her replacement will be named shortly. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Kim Sajat, not knowing who she is, but she soon shall probably be some attorney's new client when she sues for being fired. you know that's coming. You know she's gonna complain. And so I got fired by Donald Trump. Hey, get a T-shirt. Everybody else has got one. You've been fired. Go away. That just happened. So he just posted that 25 minutes ago. So he was supposed to be out here 25 minutes ago, and he still isn't. So we shall continue to wait. What's her name? Simone Sanders. Bald black lady is an ultra maroon, as Bugs Bunny would say. Oh my goodness, you guys are too funny in that regard. All right, let's see, 4% spammer. You are. Let's see, look at here. He has posted several things even since that. No, I'm looking. That's his most latest one. Unless I'm wrong. Let me think here. 26 minutes ago. No, the last thing he posted was about Kim Sajat. He posted something about Secretary Wright talking about lower energy prices, but only in the last, since 26 minutes ago, he posted about firing that lady. So she's done. She's absolutely done. I wonder what she did. He told you what she did. She wanted to keep focusing on DEI, and he's like, no, we're not going to do that. Let's see. You're right to focus on the important part of our economy. Epstein and Diddy, not important for now. Whatever happened to those poor kids, and whatever happened to the idiots and scum that abuse those poor kids, unfortunately at this point, has no bearing on your life or my life. That's stuff we want to see happen. That's stuff that we hope there's some comeuppance that happens to some of these people. But on a day-to-day basis, okay, here we go. Mr. President is out.
It's a little nasty on occasion. Hello, Peter.
Yeah, thanks. Hello, President Trump.
Government's a little bit nasty, Peter. You haven't noticed that. You've had a charmed life, right?
You tell me.
Very charmed. I think you've had a charmed life. I think what I'll do, if you don't mind, numbers have just come out which are rather extraordinary, and I thought I'd play a tape of one of the people who I've respected over the years, from Joe Kiernan and Rick Santelli. This just came out, and we'll just play that for a second.
Personal income is up 0.8%. That is almost triple the expectations. Yeah, I'll tell you that the income numbers, really, for the first 4 months of the year, they're stellar. They're really stellar. I mean, I could go back and look at the first 4 months of many different years. Really very strong numbers, and you're right. This administration is criticized for just about everything under the sun. I've never, ever in my lifetime had glimpses into the politics of an administration in the form of transparency like this one. Why don't we be, give credit where credit is due. Income really shooting up.
Rick, I also thought everybody was going to get one last order of imports that were going to be tariffed, and they were loading up on things. How the hell did they already fix the trade, or not fix it, but to cut it in half? That's crazy. So there wasn't a lot of front loading of things that they needed before the tariffs hit.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it really does call into question some of the conventional wisdoms. And, it's going to be interesting to see what happens next month when we get this number, or we see some of the other numbers like current account, see how they fared. Because I don't know, I've been watching these numbers a long time. I don't think I've ever seen the trade deficit cut in half in 1 month.
Not bad. Right? Not bad.
Come on, guys.
I see Howard and Scott are here, so it's great. You guys want to stand over here? You might as well. You're the ones that help produce those numbers, and it'll only get better. The tariffs are so important, and that's why we were so happy with the decision yesterday where the tariffs continue, because without the tariffs, our nation would be imperiled. We would really be imperiled. I think I can say that with great surety, Scott and Howard. And so we were very happy to get that decision, that big decision yesterday. And today it's about a man named Elon, and he's one of the greatest business leaders and innovators the world has ever produced. He stepped forward to put his very great talents into the service of our nation, and we appreciate it. And I just want to say that Elon has worked tirelessly helping lead the most sweeping and consequential government reform program in generations. And you know the kinds of things that he's found and his people have found. He's brought a group of very smart people in, and they found things that are pretty unbelievable. I have to say that the numbers that we're talking about are substantial, but they're going to be very much more substantial with time, because many of the things that we're working on right now, we're going to have to remember Elon as we find them, but the numbers could double and triple because many things, we don't want to go out with them until we're sure, but we've found things that are unbelievably stupid and unbelievably bad. With the Department of Government Efficiency, Elon's delivered a colossal change in the old ways of doing business in Washington. Doge has installed geniuses with an engineering mindset and unbelievably talented people and computers. I actually asked Elon one time, what's their primary thing? And they have a lot of primary things, all having to do with being smart. But he said the thing that they're really the best at is working with computers, so that they can't be outsmarted by somebody that's not so honest, that happens to also be good with computers, but not as good as these people. But the mindset in the senior ranks of every federal department, and it's really changed. And with Elon's guidance, they're helping to detect fraud/waste and modernize broken and outdated systems. So as you know, we're talking about various systems and changing systems. And, you know, sadly, it takes a long time to do that. You'll change, let's say, a system at IRS and computerize it properly, where the job can be done in 1/10 the time, but it takes sometimes years to rebuild those systems. But we've started, in many cases, I will say that this has less to do with Elon, but the air traffic control systems, we're bidding out to the best companies in the world, those systems right now. They were what the previous administration was horrible what they did. They spent billions and billions of dollars, and in the end, it didn't even come close to working. They tried to hook up wire to copper, and it can't be done. And they just spent billions of dollars and just wasted money. Actually made the system much worse. So we're going to get a brand new modern system. Congress is working with us on that, and we're going to get it done as quickly as we can. But it's in the works, and once it's done, it'll be good for 30 years. But we have a system that's 48 years old and would have a modern computer hooked into a very outdated computer, and they don't hook up. I mean, they didn't hook up. So after spending billions of dollars, they turned on the system, and in never any cases, from local to countrywide, they never worked. More than 75,000 bureaucrats have voluntarily left their taxpayer-funded jobs to come out and really do the job. Countless wasteful and unnecessary contracts have been terminated, and you know that we have terminated many contracts, and many contracts, Elon, are right now being looked at, and it may be 6 months, it may be almost a year in some cases. We're going through procedures, we're going through courts, and we'll remember you as we announce billions of dollars of extra waste, fraud, and abuse. Just as an example, Doge canceled $101 million for DEI contracts at the Department of Education, $101 million, and that was just a small section of the Department of Education. $59 million for illegal alien hotel rooms in New York City, and the landlord never made the kind of money that he made in the last short period of time. $59 million to a hotel in New York City, $45 million for diversity, equity, and inclusion scholarships in Burma. In Burma, does anyone know about Burma? $42 million for social and behavioral change in Uganda. $40 million to improve the social and economic inclusion of sedentary migrants. I can say it's $2 billion to Stacey Abrams and her environmental movement. There was $100 in the account, and all of a sudden they found $2 billion in the account. And I assume that's being looked at. I don't know. I'm not sure, but I assume that's being looked at. Think of that, $2 billion. And then Lee will tell you there's another one over there for $20 billion being spent on another environmental question. $20 billion, not 20 million, a lot, not 200,000, which is a lot. So think of it, in her case, you have $100, and now all of a sudden she gets hit with an infusion of $2 billion just before I take office. $20 million for Arab Sesame Street in the Middle East. Nobody knows what that's all about. Nobody's been able to find it. $8 million for making mice transgender. So they spend $8 million on making mice transgender. And those are better than many of the others. I could sit here all day and read things just like that, but we have other things to do. So it's much, much more than just that. We're totally committed to making the DOGE cuts permanent and stopping much more of the waste in the months to come. We want to get our great, big, beautiful bill finished and done. After that, we put some of this into the bill, but most of it's going to come later. We're going to have it cauterized by Congress, affirmed by Congress. In some cases, we'll make cuts. In some cases, we'll just use it in a different layer to save the money. But it's hundreds of billions of dollars. DOGE has also fully modernized the federal retirement process and continues to work very hard on the IRS modernization. But we're taking that over with DOGE. Many of the DOGE people, Elon, are staying behind, too, so they're not leaving. And Elon's really not leaving. He's going to be back and forth, I think. I have a feeling. It's his baby, and I think he's going to be doing a lot of things. But Elon's service to America has been without comparison in modern history. He's already running one of the most innovative car companies in the world. You look at his factories and compare them with some of the old factories we have, and it's a big difference. And the most successful space company, and I guess in history you would have to say the largest free speech platform on the internet, etc. Yet Elon willingly, with all of the success, he willingly accepted the outrageous abuse and slander and lies and attacks because he does love our country. I know that very much. He loves our country. He comes from another country, a country that's going through trials and tribulations, I would say. But he's all about the USA, and Americans owe him a great debt of gratitude. So I just want to thank Elon for his time as a special government employee. Can you imagine? They call him an employee, but it's a special government employee, and for coming and helping us. And he really has changed the mindset of a lot of people. A lot of people thought, maybe we'll cut 1% or 2% or 3%. Then they said, wow, we can cut a lot more than that. And we're going to do it very surgically. We're going to continue on the march. We're making America great again. When I was in Saudi Arabia, and we were in, as you know, three really great countries, predominantly the three. Qatar was great. UAE was great. Saudi Arabia, incredible. Such an incredible experience to be in those three countries. But the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, and I must tell you, the great leaders of the other two that we just mentioned, they all said the same thing, that the United States is the hottest country right now anywhere in the world. And 6 months ago, we thought it was dead. It was like a dead country. And it would have been a dead country if we didn't have the right result on November 5th. There would have been a horrible, horrible situation was going on with the borders, with transgender for everyone, men playing in women's sports, and so much more. But they were saying the hottest country anywhere in the world. And then I played that little clip because I was one person who's respected, or two people, because Joe was in that one too. Joe's a good man. But that was one group of people saying something about the success of what we've done over the last 4 months. They cannot believe it. In the one case, they said they've never seen anything like it as long as they've been doing what they've been doing. They've been doing it for a long time. So I want to thank Elon for helping. And again, the United States right now is the hottest country anywhere in the world. There's no country as hot. And we're doing really well. We came, when I left, we had no wars, we had no problems. We defeated ISIS, we rebuilt our military, and we had no inflation. And when I came back, we had a lot of inflation. We had wars all over the place. We had the embarrassment in Afghanistan where we gave up billions and billions of dollars of military equipment, the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, I believe. I believe that strongly. We have Russia with Ukraine. We had the attack on Israel in October, the horrible attack, October 7th. Horrible, horrible attack. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And now we have something where we're really healing a lot of that. We stopped India and Pakistan from fighting. I believe that could have turned out into a nuclear disaster. And I want to thank the leaders of India, the leaders of Pakistan, and I want to thank my people also. We talked trade, and we said we can't trade with people that are shooting at each other and potentially using nuclear weapons. And they're great leaders in those countries, and they understood and they agreed. And that all stopped, and we're stopping others from fighting also, because ultimately we can fight better than anybody. We have the greatest military in the world. We have the greatest leaders in the world. We put one of them in charge of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, as you know, General Raisin Kane. And we wiped out ISIS, completely wiped out ISIS in 3 weeks. They said it would take 5 years, and we did it in 3 weeks. And that's the way it is. But we don't want to have to use our military. We want to be peace through strength when we can, and that's the way we're going to have it. So I just want to thank Elon and all of his people. Most of those people are staying, almost all of them are staying, and they're going to be with us. And you're going to see the results coming long into the future. Even a year and 2 years later, you're going to see a lot of the results, and those hundreds of billions of dollars are going to be adding up, and they're going to continue to add. It'll be interesting, really interesting to see what the final number is going to be. But again, Elon gave an incredible service. Nobody like him. And he had to go through the slings and the arrows, which is a shame because he's an incredible patriot. The good news is that 90% of the country knows that, and they appreciate it, and they really appreciate what he did. And I gave him a little special something we have here.
Thank you.
A very special that I give to very special people. I have given it to some, but it goes to very special people, and I thought I'd give it to Elon as a presentation from our country.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elon.
Thank you.
Take care of yourself.
Thank you. You see the lock. The lock on this is amazing.
That's right. A large lot.
Well, let me say perhaps a few words. That this is not the end of Doge, but really the beginning. My time as a special government employee necessarily had to end. It was a limited time thing. It's 134 days, I believe, which ends in a few days. So that it comes with a time limit. But the Doge team will only grow stronger over time. The Doge influence will only grow stronger. I'd liken it to sort of Buddhism. It's like a way of life. So it is permeating throughout the government. And I'm confident that over time we'll see $1 trillion of savings and a reduction in $1 trillion of waste and fraud reduction. The calculations of the Doge team thus far, in terms of an FY25 to FY26 delta, are over 160 billion, and that's climbing. We expect that number will probably go over 200 billion soon. So I think the Doge team is doing an incredible job. They're going to continue doing an incredible job, and I'll continue to be visiting here and be a friend and advisor to the president. And I look forward to times being back in this amazing room. By the way, isn't this incredible? Look at this incredible. It's stunning. I think the way that the Oval Office, how the president has just completely redone the Oval Office is beautiful. I love the gold on the ceiling.
Thank you. It's pretty nice.
Yeah.
That's been there a long time. That was plaster. Nobody ever really saw it. They didn't know the eagle was up there, and we highlighted. It's essentially it's a landmark, a great landmark, and that's 24 karat gold, and everybody loved it. And now they all see it when they come in. So it's been good.
The Oval Office finally has the majesty that it deserves, thanks to the president. So I look forward to continuing to be a friend and advisor to the president, continuing to support the Doge team. And we are relentlessly pursuing $8 trillion in waste and fraud reductions, which will benefit the American taxpayer. That's it, really. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Right.
Great job. Thank you.
Thank you, President Trump. The president mentioned that you had to deal with all the slings and arrows during your time at Doge. There's this.
Some of the people, some of the media organizations in this room were the slingers.
Well, so there is a New York Times report today that accuses you of blurring the line between.
Is the New York Times, is that the same publication that got a Pulitzer Prize for false reporting on the Russiagate? Is it the same organization?
I got to check my Pulitzer counter.
It is.
But so I think the judge just ruled against the New York Times for their lies about the Russiagate hoax, and that they might have to give back that Pulitzer Prize. That New York Times. Let's move on.
Okay, then
next
President
question.
Trump. I got one for President Trump. So President Trump, Biden aides who used to work here are in talks with Republicans in Congress to go and testify about what they did or didn't do to possibly conceal President Biden's decline. Do you think that Dr. Jill Biden should also have to come in and testify about what she did or didn't do?
Well, I hate the concept of it. It's the wife of a man who was going through a lot of problems, and everybody that dealt with him understood that. And I guess it came out during the debate loud and clear. That was the biggest signal of all. They have to do what's right. The country was there was a lot of dishonesty in the election, as you know, of 2020. That's been now caught. People understand it. It was a rigged election. And when you go further out, when you see the auto pen, I mean, I think the auto pen is going to become one of the great scandals of all time, because you have somebody operating it or a number of people operating. Because I knew Joe Biden. Joe Biden wasn't in favor of opening up borders, letting 21 million people into this from prisons and mental institutions and gang members. He wasn't into that at all. And, you know, who signed these orders, proclamations, and all of the different things that he signed that set our country so far back, that was so bad for our country?
With the auto pen, how would it work? Like, we're in the Oval Office right now. If there was a group of rogue staffers that worked for you who wanted to advance a bill or an executive order without your knowledge, how could they do it? How do they go behind the president?
Because I'd read your newspapers or your media the next day, and I'd say, well, I didn't approve that, and I would find it. I mean, they wouldn't get away with it for long, because I'd say, I never signed that. Who the hell signed that? Auto pens, to me, are used to sign letters to people, because we get, I think they said 20,000 letters a week, and you like to be able, when somebody takes the time to write a letter, it's nice to sort of write back. And auto pens are meant for that. Auto pens are not meant to sign major proclamations or tax cuts or borders, anything having to do with the border, which is so important. And if it happened on my watch, I would be able to see it, because the next day or sooner I'd be reading about something that I knew nothing about, and who the hell signed this? So I almost never used the auto pen. In fact, yesterday I was signing about 81, I think it was 81 proclamations and statements to people that I think should be signed by us. I think when you write letters to foreign dignitaries or presidents or prime ministers, you should be signing those letters, not done with auto pens. I understand he signed almost everything with an auto pen. It's a very dangerous thing. It really means you're not president. Whoever operated the auto pen, and we think we know who that is, and it was actually more than one person, but that's not what the presidency is all about. I hardly used to get
reinstate the tariffs on China. You said that they violated the agreement with the U.S.
Well, they did. They violated a big part of the agreement we made. You know, if you read that whole statement, I was very nice to them. I helped them because they were in trouble with the stoppage of a massive amount of business. But I'm sure that I'll speak to President Xi, and hopefully we'll work that out. But yeah, there's a violation of the agreement. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, can you give us an update to the latest ceasefire agreement that Israel has agreed to, but Hamas still considering?
Well, they're very close to an agreement on Gaza, and we'll let you know about it during the day or maybe tomorrow, and we have a chance of that. And I think we have a chance of making a deal with Iran also. They don't want to be blown up. They would rather make a deal, and I think that could happen in the not-too-distant future. That would be a great thing if we could have a deal without bombs being dropped all over the Middle East. That would be a very good thing. They can't have a nuclear weapon. We want them to be safe. We want them to have a very, very successful nation. Let it be a great nation, but we can't have that. They cannot have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple. And I think we're fairly close to a deal with Iran.
Yeah,
Yeah, please.
You said just now that you look forward to being a friend and advisor to the president. So do you expect to continue advising the president and Doge informally, or are you going to sort of shift your focus entirely to your companies?
Well, I expect to continue to provide advice whenever the president would like advice.
I hope so.
I mean, I expect to remain a friend and an advisor, and certainly if there's anything the president wants me to do, I'm at the president's service.
Mr. Musk, on Doge, you said that there was $1 trillion promise for cuts from Doge.
Yes, I think we do expect over time to achieve the $1 trillion.
But what have you found in your time here was the biggest roadblock to getting those cuts? Was it the cabinet, or was it Congress, or something else? What was the biggest roadblock from your work?
It's mostly just a lot of hard work. It's really not any one person or Congress. It's going through really millions of line items and saying just each one of them makes sense, what does not make sense. Obviously, at times when you cut expenses, those who are receiving the money, whether they're receiving that money legitimately or not, they do complain. And you're not going to hear someone confessing that they received money inappropriately. Never. They're going to always say that they received money appropriately for an important cause. Naturally, that's what you'd expect. So we just have to. It's just a lot of work going through the vast expenses of the federal government and just really asking questions. What's this money for? Are you sure it's actually being used well? Many times we can't even find anyone who defends it. So for a lot of the expenses, there is actually no defender at all. And then we have to just go work through the process of stopping the spending, where there's often literally no defender. Nobody even knows why the money's being spent. It's truly absurd. I mean, we find situations where there are millions of software licenses with 0 people using them. 0. Exactly. This is the quizzical expression. You're like, surely, if there's millions of software licenses, someone should be using them. No, and then we've got to go through the process of saying, okay, look, if no one's using the software, we can terminate this software license agreement. That's everywhere in the government.
Mr. Musk, what do you think would be easier, colonizing Mars or making the government efficient?
It's a tough call, but I think colonizing Mars and making life multi-planetary is harder. And as I said, we do expect to achieve over time the $1 trillion savings. We can't do it in like a few months, but if you say by I think the official end of Doge, which the president may choose to extend, is the middle of next year. Say by the middle of next year, with the support of the president and Congress, could we achieve $1 trillion of savings? I think so. We're on track to do so.
Do you have faith that Congress is going to do
Thank you, Mr. President. You had mentioned earlier in the week that Doge had become a whipping boy, and as the president mentioned, you went through a lot to go through this process. Yeah. Was it worth it for you, and what would you change?
So what we found was happening was that if there were any cuts anywhere, then people would assume that was done by Doge. And so we became like essentially the Doge boogeyman, where if any cut anywhere would be ascribed to Doge. A friend of mine's daughter, who's at law school at Georgetown, thought that Doge had cut the Senate, internships the legal internships for the Senate, and we have nothing to do with that. So if they have been cut, there's nothing to do with us. Just as an example. So it just became a bit ridiculous where any cut anywhere was somehow Doge, including things that made no sense, and we would agree it made no sense. There are many things that occur in the government because it's the banal evil of bureaucracy. It's sort of the frankly largely uncaring nature of bureaucracy. It's as the great Milton Friedman said, money is spent most poorly when it is someone else's money being spent on people you don't know, and that's how federal spending is. And then you can't really even blame the individuals because the way the government works is complaint minimization. So when you do when someone within the government tries to stop money being spent, there's usually someone that complains, and then their manager will say it's not worth the trouble, just pay it anyway. That happens over and over again.
So was it worth it?
I think it was an important thing. I think it was a necessary thing, and I think it will have a good effect in the future.
Thank you, President Trump. This week there was a video on board a plane that showed the First Lady of France slapping her husband, Emmanuel Macron. Do you have any world leader to world leader marital advice?
Make sure the door remains closed. That was not good. No, I spoke to him, and he's fine. They're fine. They're two really good people. I know them very well, and I don't know what that was all about, but I know them very well, and they're fine.
What do you think about this Democratic Party plan to avoid being swept in every battleground state again by spending $20 million to study how to speak to American men?
Well, you know, they spent 2.8 billion. We spent 1.5. We spent much less. We spent about half of what they spent, and at the end they were $28 million short. They had to be. They spent 2.8 billion. It's a lot, but they couldn't get 28 million at the end, and now they want to spend. I read that they want to spend money to learn how to talk. That's fake. You don't want to be fake. You shouldn't have to hire consultants to say what America needs, because then the consultants should be running the deal, not them. But I read that they want to spend a lot of money in each state. So we won all 7 swing states, 7 out of 7. We won a lot more than that. We won the popular vote. We won everything, and they want to spend money to find out what they did wrong. And I mean, I could tell you what they did wrong. I could tell you every one of their programs. When they say men playing in women's sports, I would say that's not a winner. When they say transgender for everybody, I think that's not a winner. When they say open borders so the entire world population of criminals can pour into our country, I don't think that's a winner. I mean, I just gave them that for free, but I don't know if they'll change their ways. I see them all the time. I see people that I know in Congress, Democrats, they're trying to justify some of the things I just said. You can't justify them. I always hear they're 80-20 issues. I say they're not 80-20, they're 97-3. They might be 99-1. They're not 80-20. They wish they were 80-20. And they're wasting a lot of money if they're going to continue with that nonsense.
And this one's a little bit more of a page 6 question, but back when you hosted The Apprentice, you mentioned once in 2012 that Diddy was a good friend of yours back then. He has since found himself in some very serious legal trouble.
Yeah, that's true.
Would you ever consider pardoning him?
Well, nobody's asked. You had to be the one to ask, Peter, but nobody's asked. But I know people are thinking about it. I know they're thinking about it. I think some people have been very close to asking. First of all, I'd look at what's happening, and I haven't been watching it too closely, although it's certainly getting a lot of coverage. I haven't seen him. I haven't spoken to him in years. He used to really like me a lot, but I think when I ran for politics, that relationship busted up. From what I read, I don't know. He didn't tell me that, but I'd read some little bit nasty statements in the paper all of a sudden. It's different. You become a much different person when you run for politics and you do what's right. I could do other things, and I'm sure he'd like me, and I'm sure other people would like me, but it wouldn't be as good for our country. As we said, our country's doing really well because of what we're doing. So it's not a popularity contest. So I don't know. I would certainly look at the facts. If I think somebody was mistreated, whether they like me or don't like me, it wouldn't have any impact on me.
Mr. President, on the big beautiful bill, would you like to see the Senate build in some support for your tariffs on the big beautiful bill, or should that be a standalone bill?
I have great support on the tariffs. I mean, I was so honored that we got that ridiculous stay lifted, because that would have taken away presidential power. It would have taken away everything that was granted by the founders. It would have been a terrible thing. And it would have, most importantly, left us vulnerable. We have a lot of countries that use tariffs on us and use them viciously, viciously. And if we didn't have the power to use tariffs on them, and instantly, not when you go back to Congress and try and get hundreds of people to agree on something, that would take months to get just one simple proclamation. If we didn't have the power to counteract their powers, you wouldn't have a country left. We have to act fast. We have to be fast and nimble, as they say. And that was a really great moment, I think, yesterday when that stay was lifted. And hopefully now we'll go to court and just win that battle. because if we don't have the power to do what they're doing to us, we are going to be a great nation no longer.
Elon Musk was once idolized by folks on the left in this country before joining your administration. Now he's considered a hero by conservatives. Why do you think this man, what he's done in American life, has been so politicized? Does it
Well, his life has been amazing. I mean, I look at so many different things. I look at that rocket being, guided back into position. I've never seen that before. I thought it was a space movie. I thought it was a movie. You look at what he's done in terms of communication. It's been unbelievable. So many different, even tunnels going underground, not having to go through all the process of going, he's got a company that does that. He's got so many different companies. Starlink, as an example, he saved a lot of lives, probably hundreds of lives in North Carolina. I don't even know if you remember, but they called you. They needed Starlink in North Carolina. And I didn't know what the hell Starlink was. I said, what is it? Who owns it? He said, do you know Elon Musk? I said, yeah, I happen to know the gentleman. This was before his government stay. And they said, we really need it because North Carolina became an island. People had no communication. They had no access to anything, and they were dying. And I called up Elon, and you can't get it because it's so successful. It's very hard to get. And he had so much of it brought over there, and they told me it was unbelievable. It saved a lot of lives. So, he's just done a lot of things. I don't think he gets credit for what he's done. But he's a very good person too. You know what? If he wasn't a good person, but he did the same things, I'd probably maybe speak differently. He happens to be a really good person who loves the country.
On the one big beautiful bill, you had indicated this week that there were some things you didn't like about what had passed in the House. What changes do you want to see the Senate make? And you had also indicated there were things you didn't like about the bill. What would you be suggesting he push senators to change in their version?
Well, I'll tell you, I'll go first. It's an unbelievable bill. It cuts your deficits. It cuts, it's a huge cutting. But there's the things I'd like to see maybe cut a little bit more. I'd like to see a bigger cut in taxes. It's going to be the largest tax decrease or cut in the history of our country. I'd like to see it get down to an even lower number. I was shooting for a slightly lower number. I would have liked to have done that. But with all of that being said, when you look at the tax cut and the fact that the original tax cut, which made us so successful, we had the most successful 4 years in the history of our country, the economy, and this is going to be even better. And you see that by the reports that came out just yesterday or tonight. I guess they were released this morning at 8 o'clock. You see the kind of numbers where somebody that's a pro is like, whoa, I haven't seen numbers like this since I've been doing this. These are human emotions of professionals that have never seen numbers like, and we've just started. The bill is a great bill. It's going to be jiggered around a little bit. It's going to be negotiated with the Senate, with the House. But the end result is it extends the Trump tax cuts. If it doesn't get approved, you'll have a 68% tax increase. You're going to go up 68%. That's a number that nobody's ever heard of before. You'll have a massive tax increase. If it does get approved, you'll have a large tax cut, the largest we've ever had. When you add the past tax cuts that we got you, the Trump tax, they call them the Trump tax cuts. It's an amazing bill. It does amazing things. With all of that, it's going to be adjusted a little bit over the next coming weeks, and I think it's going to be passed. The Republicans want to pass it. With all of the great things it does, including an extension of debt, it's the extension. We have to extend the debt. If we don't extend debt, we're in default. Now, the Democrats might like our country to be in default, but in 250 years, we've never been in default. That was handed to them by a very well-meaning man that gave it to them because he thought it was the right thing to do. It could have been their problem before the election, but this man thought it was the right thing to do, and he was well-meaning. I don't hold anything against him for that, but that was put on our plate when it should have been on the Democrats. September 28th, a famous date. It should have been taken care of by the Democrats, but this person, a man of power, gave it to us so that in June that comes due. Well, we have to take care of that because if we don't take care of it, we have a country in default, and we don't ever want to have a country in default. I'll tell you, a certain senator, Elizabeth Warren, said that she would never, ever allow a default on our debt. She would never let it happen. And she would like to get rid of the debt ceiling, what's called the debt ceiling. I call it the debt extension because we really need an extension, that she'd like to see that gotten rid of. And there are many people that agree. Many Democrats agree with that. But we gave that through, and you know, I don't want to say an error. He did it well-meaning. They gave that to us. It was a Democrat problem just before the election. Would have had a huge impact on the election. And to our benefit, we won anyway, but to our benefit. But felt that really for the good of the country, we should extend that. But Elizabeth Warren and various other people would like to see that. Her whole career, she wanted to see it terminated, gotten rid of, not being voted on every 5 years or 10 years. And the reason was because it's so catastrophic for our country. And I always agreed with her. That was one thing I agreed with her on. Now, I haven't spoken to her, but I would say that if you asked her that question now, she'd say, no, it's their problem. But it's a very unfortunate situation. It's a very unfair situation. And she happened to be right on that. It should be gotten rid of, or it should simply be extended. But that's one of the things that gets taken care of in this bill. That automatically gets extended for a 4-year period, and it should be. But I agree with Elizabeth Warren on that. I think you should get rid of it. It's too catastrophic. Yeah, please, go ahead.
What message do you like to send to international students? Are they still welcomed to study in the United States? And one question for Mr. Musk.
The students, well, we want to have great students here. We just don't want students that are causing trouble. We want to have students. I want to have foreign students. I think Harvard, you know, it's close to 31%. That's a lot. Our country has given $5 billion plus to Harvard over a short period of time. Nobody knew that. We found that out. I wouldn't say that was a Doge thing, but we found that out over a period of time. That was sort of a Trump thing. We ended up in litigation for other reasons because they're very anti-Semitic. And in finding out and in going through the books, we found out that the country gave them $5 billion plus, much more than that, actually. And we're having it out with them, and let's see what happens. I think we have a very good, well, it's a very sad case. It's a case we win. We can't lose that case because we have the right to make grants. We're not going to make any grants like that. But I don't think Harvard's been acting very nicely. I think Columbia wants to get to the bottom of the problem. They've acted very well. And there are other institutions, too, that are acting, but Harvard's trying to be a big shot. And all that happens is every 3 days we find another $100 million that was given. 2 days ago, we found $200 million more. The money's given to them like gravy. I'd like to see the money go to trade schools, where people learn how to fix motors and engines, where people learn how to build rocket ships, because, you know, somebody has to build those rocket ships.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see trade schools set up, because you could take $5 billion plus hundreds of billions more, which is what's spent, and you could have the greatest trade school system anywhere in the world. And that's what we need to build his rockets and robots and things that he's doing, and to build lots of other things. And, you know, I went to school with people. In some cases, they weren't good students, but they could fix the engine of a car better than anybody I've ever seen. They could take it apart blindfolded. They had an ability at that. And they did very well. They made a lot of money. You know, it's a very skilled job. It's great. But I'd like to see a lot of money going into trade schools. I've always felt that. And we probably found our pot of gold, and that's what's been wasted at places like Harvard. And the money's been wasted. Yeah, please.
Yeah, I wanted to ask quickly, Mr. Musk, is your eye okay? What happened to your eye? I noticed there's a bruise there.
Well, it wasn't. I wasn't anywhere near France, so.
What does that mean?
No,
I didn't notice his eye.
First Lady of France.
Getting slapped, yeah.
I didn't notice.
Yeah, no, I was just messing around with Lil X, and I said, go ahead, punch me in the face. And
I called
he did.
it.
Turns out even a 5-year-old punching you in the face actually does.
That was X that did?
Yeah.
X could do it. If you knew X,
I saw his mom right now. But I didn't really feel much at the time, and then I guess it bruises up. But I was just watching around with the kids.
I didn't notice it, actually.
President Trump, I got one. I know that you try to stay pretty neutral because not your war, but as
And by the way, not my war. I just want to solve the problem for people. This was not a war that was going to happen if I were president.
Right, and so not your war, but as you try to fix it, and as you survey this hellscape of the Ukrainian front lines.
It's horrible.
And you and your team deal with a very stubborn Vladimir Putin.
Yeah.
Do you
and Zelensky.
Yeah. But do you look at this
Very
conflict
Zelensky too.
any differently now? Like, do you look at this and see Putin as the good guy or the bad guy?
So I've known him very well, and I went through a lot of things with him because Russia was, the Russia hoax turned out to be a total hoax. New York Times, they got a Pulitzer Prize. They have to give back the Pulitzer Prize. That's my lawsuit, and they're doing very poorly in that lawsuit. But they wrote stories about how it was true and it was false, and a lot of Washington Post also. I have gotten to see things that I was very surprised at. Rockets being shot into cities like Kiev during a negotiation that I felt was maybe very close to ending. We were going to solve a problem, and then all of a sudden rockets got shot into a couple of cities and people died. I saw things that I was surprised at, and I don't like being surprised. So I'm very disappointed in that way. With that being said, I'd like to see it end. 5,000 people, I think the number's even more than that, but 5,000 people a week are being killed. Mostly soldiers, but also people that live in little cities and towns throughout Ukraine. And I'd like to see that stop.
And I asked Caroline this yesterday, but I want to ask you directly. So many of the things that you're trying to do are held up in court right now. If the courts are going to have so much influence over U.S. policy, do you wish you would have just become a judge instead?
Yeah, well, look, it wasn't meant to be that way. If you look at the founders, the president had certain powers, and you have your three groups, and they all had supposed to be pretty equal powers. But you can't have a judge in Boston running foreign policy in places all over the country because he's got a liberal bent or he's a radical left person. That's what the executive branch is for, and you have checks and balances. But we had millions of people pour into our country, many criminals poured into our country, murderers, mental institutions from all over the world being emptied out into our country. And if we don't get them out and get them out quickly, could lose your country very easily. This is a bad, that anybody would allow this to happen to our country. With all of the things, we took over inflation, we took over some wars, we took over a lot of problems that didn't exist when I was president. None of it existed. We wiped out ISIS. Other than that, we had no wars. Putin was never going to hit Ukraine. Israel would have never been attacked. That attack, as you know, Iran had no money. They didn't have money for Hamas. They didn't have money for Hezbollah. They had no money whatsoever. That wasn't going to happen. All of these things that happened weren't going to happen. You wouldn't have had inflation. So it's very sad when I came back. But the thing that is the hardest is that they allowed 21 million people into our country, and many of those people are stone-cold criminals. They moved their criminal population into the United States, and of all the things that are bad, I solved inflation, I believe, already. I got the fuel prices down. The fuel prices came down. That's one of the reasons they screwed up the energy. They screwed up the cost of gasoline and oil and gas. And you had tremendous inflation, the greatest inflation probably in the history of our country under Biden. And when people said, "Oh, but the economy was," no, the economy was terrible for the people because they couldn't afford the energy, and the energy brought everything else up. Energy is the big deal. But with all of that, we solved that already. In 4 months, we solved it. $1.99, $1.98 gasoline. First time people have seen that in a long time since my term. But the hardest thing to solve is millions of people pouring into our country, many of whom are criminals. Because remember, these countries are smart. Their leaders are very street smart. They're sending the people that they don't want. They don't want the people that are there, that are law-abiding, that are productive, that are working hard. They want people that are in jails. We have them. They allow them to come in. And I always look to the other side, like, why would somebody do something? In business, I try and study, why would they want to do this? Why would they want to sell it? Why would they want to buy it? One thing I can't figure out is what would an administration, what were they thinking when they allowed millions of people from prisons all over the world, not just from South America, Venezuela, all over the world, from the Congo in Africa. Hundreds of people, thousands of people from the Congo, rough prisoners, from Asia, from Europe, rough parts of Europe. Why would they allow them to come into our country? Why would they do that? It's the one thing I can't figure out. And I don't believe it was Joe Biden. I really don't. I mean, look, he's been a sort of a moderate person over his lifetime, not a smart person, but a somewhat vicious person, I will say. If you feel sorry for him, don't feel so sorry because he's vicious. What he did with his political opponent and all of the people that he hurt a lot of people, Biden. And so I really don't feel sorry for him. But he wasn't a person that would allow murderers to come into our country. He wasn't a person that was in favor of transgender for anybody that wanted it, take kids out of families, et cetera, et cetera. So I just don't understand why a thing like this, how a thing like this could have been allowed to happen. Very sad. It's very sad for our country.
If I may add something, I think the fundamental moral flaw of the left is empathy for the criminals and not empathy for the victims. Empathy for the criminals, but not empathy for the victims. And there's been way too much of that. That needs to stop. To the president's point, there's been immense judicial overreach that is unconstitutional. That was never intended. And it's undermining the people's faith in the legal system. It needs to stop. It's gone too far.
Mr. And just today, just a couple of hours ago, we had a great decision from the Supreme Court, thank goodness, that was very important. We had two important decisions yesterday on the tariffs because, again, we have to be able to fight a fair fight with other countries. Howard, would you say we have to be able to use tariffs to fight people that use tariffs on us? I mean, if we didn't have that power of tariffs, we would economically be destroyed as a country because they will destroy us. Other countries will destroy us with unchecked tariffs. We can check them when we have the use. They tried to take that power away from us. And if you take that power away, we're not going to have a country. We won't have an economically viable country. But it's very important on immigration that we be able to get people out without having to go through a long court case. I mean, it was up to some of these judges. Every single one of these millions of people, criminals, prisoners that were let go from jails because they save a fortune when they do. They brought them into the United States. You know what they're saving? The money they're saving? But some of murderers, it's very important that we're able to get those people out of here fast, bring them back to their country where they belong. And those countries take them because if they don't take them, they have to go through the wrath of the United States, and they take them. But we have judges that don't want that to happen, and it's a terrible thing. That's going through the court system right now, that whole situation. But when ICE and with Border Patrol, they've done an incredible job. When they do this incredible job and they capture 100 killers and drug dealers, and we can't keep them for years here as we go through trials. We have to get them out rapidly, and we know who they are. And we're very careful about who they are, but we have to get them out rapidly, or again, we're not going to have a country. Okay? Maybe one or two more. Go ahead, please.
Are you concerned that tariff may also affect companies like Tesla, which has parts manufactured abroad? And this is also to you, Mr. Musk.
Well, he's going to end up building his whole car here. I mean, I thought he built his whole car. Pretty much he does. He's got incredible factories, and like I looked at one in Texas. It's unbelievable. No, all of the manufacturers will build their parts here too. I mean, it used to bother me. They make a part in Canada, a part in Mexico, a part in Europe, and it's sent all over the place, and nobody knew what the hell was happening. I think it's ridiculous. You build a car, make it in America, and I gave them a little leeway on that. Gave them some leeway. But over the next year, they've got to have the whole thing built in America. That's what we want. We want America to buy American-built cars. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
How was your meeting with Jerome Powell?
Good meeting. It was a good meeting.
Are you considering
Thanks, guys. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Let's go straight out here. Thank you.
I want her job. Keep going, straight out here. These people know their way around the around the Oval Office. They know where the doors are. She's still like, it's out this way. Go out this way. Wow, that lasted a long time. It's almost 3 o'clock. There's no way. I don't think there's any way that this man is going to be able to get out of there and fly to, well, Pittsburgh's not that far of a flight. He's supposed to speak. The rally, for some reason, I thought it was at 7. They have since changed it and said 5. It's 3 o'clock now. He'd have to rush out of there. Here, let me see if I could bring up the schedule, because I don't think it's possible that the time frame that they have planned is going to work. So obviously I will keep abreast of this, but I'm trying to bring up the schedule right now so I can show it to you guys, and you guys can see it yourself right here. Okay. Yeah. All right. So this is the schedule that they had put out earlier this morning. Actually, most of this they actually put out last night, and you can see here that the schedule that they have. I could probably blow this up a little bit so you guys can see this. All right, so they have President Trump. He was supposed to do the press conference at 1:30. Obviously, that was late. He didn't get that done. He's supposed to depart the White House at 3:25. So I guess he could continue to be on schedule. 3:25, it's about 10 to 3. And he could be on the plane. He arrives in Joint Base Andrews. And then they've got him speaking at 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock is when they have him speaking. And they expect him to be back at the White House shortly thereafter. He's supposed to be back at the White House by 8. So, no, the rally is not at 7, because there's no way that could happen if you can see the times here. So 5 p.m. is what his schedule. So give or take a few minutes, depending on how traffic is for Air Force One. We got a plan on him being on stage sometime between 5 or 5:30. I am going to go live at 4:30. I've got an interview with Congressman Ogles I'll have to do as the pre-show. I was going to show it now, but I'm going to have to shut down, put the after party on, get everything ready for you guys to watch tonight. So, not tonight. It's going to be in like an hour and a half. So, we still got stuff to do. So, at least I'll have that stuff ready to go. Let me see what SV just texted me something. He's something about an unhappy Lear Capital viewer. I don't know how you can be unhappy, but whatever. That's what they say. In any event, so what's my takeaway from what I just heard? I don't know. Call me a conspiracy theorist. Put a big Q on me or something. But I heard a president who is engaging in some comms right there. I want you to think of something. Howard Lutnick, Scott Bessent are both in the president's cabinet. Both of them were there. Didn't say anything. An outside person who's not a part of the cabinet was talking to the press as if he was holding a press conference at times. That obviously is Elon Musk. So the President of the United States had enough confidence that this guy that he brought in was going to be able to handle the press and talk to them. And the first indication that you should have had that something isn't as it appears was when he went right after New York Times in an open forum. All those people there, they know who the New York Times are. They probably know who the reporters for the New York Times are. And Elon Musk went dead at him. Dead at him. Didn't even blink. And he said, oh, you mean that newspaper that got sued and had to retract this? Okay. Then all of a sudden, President Trump's talking to an Asian reporter. He goes after Harvard. Then he talks about the auto pen. And, something really has to be done about that. Something. Well, you're the one who's going to do something about it. So it's very interesting that he was saying it that way. Letting somebody know something's coming. He also talked, and it was one guy asked me anything about default. When's the last time you've heard a president go out that way and talk about, default would be a really bad thing winkety wink, wink, wink. Oh yeah, we shouldn't do that. And I saw some of the people in the chat. Well, Barry, he's saying he doesn't want to do it. If I told you I don't want to have to hit you in the face, I really don't want to have to. I think if I hit you in the face, it would be a bad thing. I don't want to have to. I think it'd be awful if I popped you upside your head. See the difference in that context? That's how I took it. I could be wrong. We shall see. But I think he was letting people know, you're pushing me. Barry, you're okay. I've been off. Not really. Not much. But we shall see. He also, let's see here. If you think Elon Musk is leaving, you obviously weren't paying attention. There's no way. There's no way Elon Musk is, quote, leaving. He may not have an office in the White House, but he kind of made it clear he's not going anywhere. And President Trump kind of made it clear in no uncertain terms, I don't want him to go anywhere. So if you took that he's not going to be involved anymore, I think you missed a big play there. And what else was he talking? Understanding, I wrote down, understanding the local system. I'm not going to go into that. But, you know, it just is what it is. There's a lot going on. I think it's going to continue to go on. Let me see here. Elon the Magician. I told you it was his son. Whether or not it was his son, that was an easy one to go with. By the way, do you really want to know how obtuse those reporters are? When Elon Musk said, oh, yeah, when they asked him about his eye, well, at least I didn't go to France, one of those reporters actually said, what do you mean? What happened in France? That's how obtuse they are. Everyone else in the room is laughing because of what happened with Macron and his wife. And the other guy goes, what happened in France? Okay. He'll be an advisor, but he'll be close to President Trump. Exactly. Let's see here. Mad Planet. I just want to address this. Ashley told me not to address some of the trolling type comments. When you think they're doing too much talk, too much entrail reading, let's see some prosecutions. I don't think you're going to see the kind of prosecutions you're hoping for. So you're hoping to see somebody frog walked out, perp walk, so you can see them get arrested and everything else. And if you've been following the show for the last couple of days, I've been telling you, and I've had some interviews with some people who are decades long in law enforcement, military, of that nature. And we don't have time for those kinds of prosecutions. I just want you to just remember, right now, Diddy's on trial. How long have you heard? How long has it been that you've heard from the first time Diddy got arrested to now just being in trial? And then, whenever Diddy's trial ends, it's not over. Then they're going to appeal it, which may take another year. We ain't got that kind of time. So I'm telling you, you people who believe that, oh, Pam Bondi or Cash or Dan need to arrest some people, you need to see some prosecutions in the vein of prosecutions that you're used to, don't hold your breath. We don't have that kind of time. What I'm saying this is the 2026 elections are coming, 2028's not that far away, and some of these people, if you were to arrest them, it's going to get dragged out for 2 or 3 years. They've got money. They've got attorneys. The attorneys know the judges. This thing could get pulled out for a long time. See, one of the things they can't pull out for a long time, well, I'll let you go figure out. What kind of trial would they not be able to control for a long period of time? And when you find that out, you might have some information. Let's hear. No time for no long trials. All right, so I'm going to read Super Chats and get out of here because we have to get ready for the rally at this afternoon. It's not going to be this evening. It's funny. I'm looking down here and I'm seeing something from somebody says Musk will be at the rally. Yeah, so much for him, like not being a part of the show. Because indeed you are, and I think many of you know, we are watching a show. This is something you should have bought a ticket for quite some time, because we are indeed watching a show. I'm convinced of that. show of epic proportions. All right, so let's go ahead and do super chats, and then I'll play the after party, and then we'll get back here for what am I talking about? The rally family. All right, so let me get here. Mr. Barry, I'm getting back on my feet, moved to Oklahoma City, and telling everyone about the best, most clear and honest. Thank you very much. Love to you all. Thank you for your prayers. Viking King, hey Barry, can you play and listen to Volbeat of A Warrior's Call for President? I've never heard that. I'll have to look that up. George Harmon, Dems got nothing to run on. They got nothing. Will Smith, Barry, what are your thoughts on Elon staying or coming back in some legal capacity? Not sure Doge will be as effective without the chainsaw. He's not relinquishing. He's still going to be there. He's still going to be working on Doge. You can count on that. Charlene Bates, check out Anthony Bernal, Jill Biden's chief of staff. Everyone is afraid of him, and he ran the country and AutoPay. I think he's one of those guys who might see the inside of Gitmo. Redeemed Patriot, 0 to 10% of the money USAID sent actually went to the problem it was sent to fix. Absolutely. Rick Williams, every liberal suffers from the same afflictions, cranial rectal inversion, and underlying condition of their TDS. Ooh, that sounds nasty. George Rivera, the reason why the MSM is so upset about service, etc., because such methods were how they have stayed in power for so long, through information and narrative control. You're right. Jim Wright, you're right. They don't give a flying F about Americans. That includes the Libnuts, Democrats, and the rhinos. They're hell-bent on globalist agendas to line their own pockets and to destroy the republic. I can't disagree with you. Will Smith, sadly OKC has its own population of zombie-like homeless. I don't understand how it's illegal to walk out of a bar with a beer, but apparently okay to have drug-interested tent cities. Well, I don't know. Like I said, if you Google Kensington, Pennsylvania, you'll be amazed at what you see. That there's people actually in this country living this way. I mean, completely zoned out. Just standing zombies, just all around, and nobody's doing anything about it. Rachel Rose, why are people running to pay their taxes when our money goes to other countries? There should be no homelessness in this country. Should not. Nope. And if anything we found out from Doge, that's completely true. There should not be anybody homeless in America. Patras, Barry 1/3 shows by the Mega overcame missing from, what? 1 of 3? I don't know what you mean. Nicholas Lamonicus, very happy with Elon and Doge. Me too. James Kipp, Elon so far saved $150 billion, 1/10 the military budget. Tim Torp, hi my brother in Christ, which is easier to buy, gold or Bitcoin? I answered that in a comment. I'm not sure if you saw it. It's not really a question of easier or harder. It's what you're comfortable with. Gold is obviously easier to understand. It's pretty simple. Bitcoin has a learning curve. Naomi McCormick, laughing my behind off. That's our boy. He's not going anywhere. Anthony Semino, thank you. Liana Harris, I'm a first timer. Thank you, Mr. Berry. I'm learning a lot and want to thank you. I have a way to go to catch up. I'm not giving up on prosperity. Don't ever let somebody tell you can't. Sandra Moss, it's not the auto pen, it's the policies. Whose idea was behind the executive orders? Who wrote the content? Who drafted the language? Who approved it? Who authorized the use of the auto pen? There are many other people than the 4 interns. Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. Dolores Marie, thank you. Random Car, where's that? Random Car, thank you. Polio 45, I know you promote Lear Capital, but they ripped me off by telling me the coins they sold me for a 25 quarter ounce, but they were only 0.18 ounce. They lied to me and overcharged me 15. They were only worth 9.2. Well, you realize that I don't work for Lear, and I trust them inherently. So if you have a problem, if the weights did not equal, perhaps you should email me or email Kevin, the CEO, and I'm pretty sure that they are going to rectify or see if you missed a package or something. I'm pretty sure a company that's been around and has that kind of volume is not in the business of ripping you off. So, Always two sides to a story, one side of fact. Let's dig in and find out what happened. Okay? Okay. Kelly Panetsky, thank you. Tim Allred, the prosecutions must not be rushed. It took this long to get this way. Ripping the Band-Aid off too soon can cause more harm than good, just saying. I don't know how that's possible. Ripping the Band-Aid off too soon can cause more harm. What's more harmful than what has happened to this country and what they have planned for this country should they get back in power? Sometimes, yes, ripping the Band-Aid off can hurt like hell, but if it has to be done, it has to be done. Brat Girl, Lindsey Graham is in Ukraine swearing to give money by going over Trump's head with the Senate. Gosh. Good gosh. You guys can't see it. Let me see. Let me remove this. In the background, you can see here, people are in Pittsburgh getting ready for the rally. Looks like it's a rainy day, but we'll see what happens. I bet it's going to be a bunch of people there. That'll be pretty awesome. Really pretty awesome. Can't wait. Can't wait. Love the rallies. Love the rallies. All right, everybody. I'm going to put on the after party. And then when I put on the after party, we'll see you. And looks like an hour and a half from now. Talk to you guys in an hour and a half.